Welcome to the Spunky Spirit Podcast. I'm your host, psychic medium Cari Mugz. This is where we learn all things spirit, everything from spiritual gifts, awakenings, ghosts, aliens, and starseeds. Nothing is untouchable, but always fun and spunky. I am honored to be on this spiritual journey with you, so make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Hello and welcome to the Spunky Spirit episode. Today, I have with me Cari Coulter. She is a psychic medium. She also does, is it forensic? It's Sleuth, right? Sleuth investigation, psychic medium.
Psychic investigation, yeah.
Yeah. And you have a website called the Third Eye Sleuth, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes. So kind of tell us a little bit. So I don't really have, I've only ever done like one forensic reading, and it kind of scared me because some of the stuff, I mean, it matched, but then I felt like I got nervous about it. So I kind of stopped doing forensics. I don't do forensics a lot. So I'm so intrigued about this because I just am so excited to have you on to talk about this, because I do have some students that sometimes want to know about it and I don't go in that direction. And you also do paranormal too, right?
Yeah. Yes. Sometimes I do. Yep.
That's awesome. So tell me a little bit about yourself and kind of like how you knew where it all began and where it started and how you knew you were psychic medium.
Well, yeah. How did I know?
I know, right?
Like I'm a former teacher, school teacher, so that's why I enjoy teaching classes still. But as far as knowing when I really felt I was psychic medium, I guess I have memories from when I was little, and I have specific events. Like I'm a big dreamer, so I have visitation dreams. And actually, the very first time I think I accepted it was when I was asleep and my dad came to me in a dream, and he was in the hospital at the time, and he said, goodbye and I love you and all this, and just clear as day. And then when right then the phone rang, and it was the hospital saying he passed. So that's something that you just kind of can't ignore.
Yeah.
And that was when I was 12, but I'm super old now, so it was back when we didn't have any internet.
I know, and we didn't really know what it was, right? Because I kind of had the same experience with my grandfather, same kind of thing, but it was my grandfather. And back then, you just don't know, right? You don't, well, because they didn't really talk about mediums. They didn't really, there was no internet, and if you saw anything, it was all Hollywood stuff, right? So you just kind of didn't know. So what made you so you kind of knew when you were younger, but what made you kind of go forward with that?
So I think I probably squashed it down quite a bit, like a lot of people do, right?
Yep.
And you're drawn to things like horoscope and
yes, I was too. Yes, I know.
Because you don't know what else to do. And I don't know about you, but I grew up in a Christian family. So then there was, that. So so go ahead.
So I wasn't brought up in a Christian family. My dad was a severe alcoholic. And so, but what I did was when I got older, I went completely Christian, to a religion, because I wanted answers, right? So I totally went completely the opposite direction because I thought what I had was evil, or what I was doing was evil. Right. So I thought if I joined a religion, it would make it better. So it was kind of different. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, do that. And I actually still kind of struggle with that concept, to be honest. And I'm working it out, but I still kind of struggle with that.
I think we all do. I think all mediums do kind of. I mean, I know the ones that I've talked to, maybe all of them don't, but I kind of think that there is that kind of coming out of the spiritual closet, right? Of that's why it took me so long, is because I did join this religion, and then I was so scared to step it out of, because to me, I couldn't do both. I had to step out of one to go into the other, because my mind was just so black and white. And so I think we all kind of have that, are you going to do it, or that ledge that we have to jump off of, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't until I was later, maybe right before COVID hit. And then how you could take all the classes online.
Yes.
And so that kickstarted it. And I actually had another event happen, a surgery that went wrong. And so that kind of,
Oh.
kick-started again,
Did you
right?
have a spiritual experience when the surgery or anything like that, or you just kind of just
Well,
stepped into who you
another
were?
another dream.
Hmm.
My grandmother came to me and said, "Don't do it. Don't do the surgery."
Oh,
And
don't do the surgery. I thought she was saying don't do the mediumship, but don't do the
oh
surgery.
no, no, she's like
Yeah.
my biggest like guide now.
Guide fan. Yes. Good.
And and so, I listened for a while, and then um like 3 months later they switched the doctor and they offered me, another time. I'm like, okay, maybe she meant not with that doctor.
Right.
But nope,
Yeah.
she meant the whole surgery. So I had a horrible experience where they performed the wrong surgery.
Dang.
So it's one of those, it's how it happens. We
Yeah.
get
If you don't listen,
something happens.
yes, if you don't sometimes listen, then bad experiences can happen. And yes, I've had some of those too.
Or just that that's what wakens it up. And you
Right.
just go full blown. Like this, is not, this is real. This isn't made up.
Yes.
So
I
then
love
I
that.
started, yeah.
Yeah. So what made you, so our, our stories are kind of similar. I went into just doing readings like for people all the time. So I dabbled a little bit in forensic and it kind of messed me up a little. So
Yeah.
what made you decide to go into the investigation or the forensic type? And even the paranormal, we'll get to that next, but
Yeah.
to do the other, does that make sense? So what made you
Yeah.
decide to do the forensic part of it or the sleuth part of it?
It's not, it's not for everyone for sure. But I took a class actually with Tony Stockwell, right?
I take some of his classes too. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've taken some of his
Yeah.
classes too. Not the sleuth ones, not the investigation ones, but some other ones. Yes. He's a great
Yeah.
guy. Yeah, he's awesome.
So it just something about it. For me, I feel like I'm helping in some way. I know that's
Yes.
kind of silly, but a lot of people don't like it because they don't like to look at all the dark stuff that goes with it. But for me, I feel like kind of like shining light on the dark. I don't know how to,
Right.
it's kind
No,
of,
I totally get it. I'll tell you a little bit about my experience. And so maybe you can. So
okay.
I didn't know I was doing a forensic reading when I was doing it. So someone had called in and they wanted to know about their missing child. And I had gotten pretty much everything accurate except for the fact that they well, so I told them that they were going to find him or they were going to see him again in February. And then I said that they were going to find him on a river by a forest, like a forest. And then I told them that they would find him in a certain state and like Oregon. And so, but the thing that bothered me is I never really felt his spirit. I just got all that information, right? Or I didn't know it was his spirit. And so they did find him in Oregon. They did find him in February, and they did find him on a street called River Forest.
Oh my goodness.
But the thing is he passed, and I
Mhm.
didn't see that part. I didn't see that he'd passed, and I don't know if it's because I don't let spirit show me that that's that, like when people pass or anything like
Right.
that. But it kind of just made me frustrated that I maybe had led this mother the wrong way or in the wrong direction because I didn't see that he'd already passed. And I don't really, so then I kind of got nervous about forensics, right? So then I kind of
Yeah.
stopped. Yeah. So do you teach though how to do the
Yeah.
forensic part, don't you?
Yeah. So yes, and I always start like it's like a practice, right? For when I'm teaching other people, it's different than if I work in a group. I have like a I don't know if you want to call it professional team that we work on cases for
Oh, that's
people.
so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and that works differently, and I'll kind of tell you maybe the difference between them.
Okay.
So like when I'm teaching students, I start out always with psychometrizing a picture of the victim or the person missing and just have them kind of go in raw and just go ahead, get the
I
feeling.
just want to explain to my listeners what psychometry is.
Okay.
So that's when you like hold on to something or an item of theirs and you can feel Tyler Henry does this a lot. You can feel their energy or feel it's in view, kind of like remote viewing a little bit. Well, not like remote viewing. You explain it. Maybe you'll
Yeah,
explain it
so
better.
yeah, so some people like don't necessarily think that photo is psychometrizing, but it really
It
is.
totally is. Hmm.
It's like the windows or the eyes to the soul, and that's
Hmm.
completely true.
I totally
Uh,
believe it.
So for instance, different people get different things. Sometimes people will get, if there's kind of a flat look in the eyes, then that means for them the person's passed. If they're more
Oh,
like wet or kind of moist, then they're alive. I have some students who are fabulous and they th see things like the lips will be moving, like they actually talk
oh, that's
on the
so
photo if
so
they're alive,
awesome.
and then
Yeah.
don't if they don't. So it's so interesting. Sometimes I just get the popcorn and just watch my students work because they're amazing.
Yeah, I know. When I watch some of my students, it's so cool to see them grow and see. I love that. So keep going about how. So before I interrupted you, because all of my listeners know I'm totally ADHD and they totally get it. But so before I interrupted you, when you were talking about psychometry, do you remember what
So
we were
yeah,
talking about?
that's how I always start when I'm teaching. And so they go in kind of raw and they don't have anything, they don't know anything, name or anything. And then I have them do like one go through and they get like kind of like the top layer of what we're looking for. So they might get names, dates, personality, what they do for a profession. And then I have them do a deeper sweep after that. And then I ask them to feel into, do you feel like they're past or alive? Where are they if they're missing? Who's involved? And sometimes it's hard to not do that all at the same time because actually that's how I do it. But
Yes, I
if we're
know.
practicing, that's how I have them practice. And then we do I call it spirit art, but it's really not like you think of when people actually are drawing spirit. They can if they're good
Hmm.
at that, they might draw um the suspect or they
Right.
might draw I have some that are super good at mapping, so they'll
Oh,
draw the
that would be
location map
cool.
wise. I know.
Yeah.
Sometimes people just write down words or uh, maybe they get a bird and they'll draw a bird. Why did I draw a bird? Just whatever kind of
Just like
comes.
readings, basically, just like readings, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens during readings. So funny.
Exactly. And then I forgot to say between this time, I usually put them like in breakout rooms and then they discuss together what they got and then we come together as a group. And that's kind of how our professional group works.
Hmm.
We also do like a first glance without knowing information. And then when we come
Now,
together,
the
yeah,
professional group is your group that you actually do investigations with, right? And your students
yes,
are okay. I just want to
yes.
make sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
thanks for clarifying. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
no, that's okay.
I jumped, but
You're
um
good.
for topic, but yes, so this group we get together like every Wednesday and the professional group, and somebody will bring a case and then everybody kind of goes in cold. They don't know anything about it. And then the magic happens when we all get together. So,
Now, okay, so I don't mean to interrupt, but
no, no,
so
do
I
it.
did take a class, a paranormal class with Cindy Keza. That
Yes, me
it was,
too.
yes, and it was kind of, she did the kind of same thing, right? And then she'd show you the place and you would go in cold and look at all the things and then come together as a group and kind of talk about what you got. So that's kind of cool because you just keep practicing, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
maybe we were in that class together because
I
I
don't
did
know.
this
Maybe
class.
we were. That's so funny. Yeah, I think it was
Um,
like last around October that I took it.
yes.
I bet you we were.
Yes, that was
I bet. Was it the Gaines guy? Was that, did she show that one? I don't know what his name was. That one in 70s that her, see, that's the dark stuff I don't sometimes.
my
Anyways,
memory's
yeah, keep
horrible.
going. You're good. Keep
She
going.
brought in
Yeah,
presenters. Yes. I love Cindy Kaza, by the
I do
way.
too. She's
Um,
awesome.
so and then we get together and that's like actually you as you just said, we all
Mhm.
get together and so somebody will say something and that might hit us like, oh yeah, that
That's what
really
I,
feels
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Like we hadn't thought of that or we that wasn't in our awareness yet.
Mhm.
Or sometimes we know that doesn't feel right as well. And that
Right.
happens as well. But we generally get like a consensus of what we feel. And then sometimes it takes us like a couple of 3 or 4 weeks to narrow down our findings when we're working on the professional case.
That's actually kind of cool. So how did you form this group? Did you form it or did you
Oh,
just find other mediums that wanted to just do it?
actually, this group are all media psychic mediums from I think Tony's class, Tony
Oh,
Stock.
nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so we
he
were
was
in
supposed to be on this podcast, but he got a flu. He got the flu. So
oh no.
yeah, so the first time I showed up and he was like 5 minutes late. So I thought he forgot or did it. Then the
Mhm.
second time he got the flu. So hopefully he'll come back. Hopefully.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's pretty awesome. He's a good teacher. Yeah.
he is.
Yeah.
So some of us had taken all those classes, all the advanced psychic detection with him.
Mhm.
I think there's like 10 of us left. And so we formed a group and we continue to work together.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good for you guys. So do you kind of like the investigation part of it better? I mean, not
Then,
better. I wouldn't say that. But do you do more in that realm than just do like regular readings? Does that make sense?
yes. Oh, so what do I like? I like them both. I mean, like I go down a rabbit hole on the investigations,
Yeah, I
right?
know. I bet you
Um,
do. That would be, yeah. So I guess my biggest fear, and this is is I don't want to screw up the investigation, right? Like I don't want to see because I was watching and I tell my students all the time why I don't do forensics. I tell them that I watched Hollywood, the shows on TV, and
yeah.
I think it was like a Criminal Minds, and they were following a medium and a psychic. And the psychic was leading him to this place, and then the facts were leading him to this place. And the psychic was like, I just keep seeing a beach. I see that he's by a beach. I see this, and so they decided to go with the facts and they went to the apartment where the boy was. And it was a big city apartment. But when they opened up the windows, there was a
Oh,
picture or a mural of a beach. And I'm like, I just don't want to lead. I would, you know what I mean? I don't want to
yes.
be
Oh, I
responsible
know.
for that.
I know.
Sorry about.
Yeah, it's difficult, especially when you're working with a family,
Yeah.
uh, or law enforcement. It's you could
Have
be
you
wrong.
actually ever, do you do the practice things with the cold cases or have you actually worked with a family before or
Yeah,
like
we work with
in
families all the time.
all the
Yeah.
time? Yeah.
Yeah. All the time with the families, we practice. If we don't have a case to work on, we practice on different cases, but we
So
pretty
just you
much
alone or your professional team? Your professional
I
team?
do it too by myself.
Oh, nice.
Some recent ones I worked on with myself and then some of my students and going in it was a missing person and now there's findings now.
Yeah.
Closure.
So where are you from? What area are you from?
I'm from California.
Okay, so I'm from Idaho, and the biggest one recently, well, like in the last couple of years, was the Daybell, the Lori Vallow and the Chad Daybell stuff that was going on here. And
Oh,
everybody, do you know that case where Lori
yes.
Vallow and yes, kind of,
I
yeah, that was
no, I totally know it, but I
the
freaking
two kids with, yeah, that was a hard one. And I tried really not to like get involved in that one or pick up stuff because I didn't because it was just such a
they
heaviness.
are, yeah,
Yeah.
heavy. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And in our society, our community, it was just such a big deal. And so, yeah, so how do you kind of like I guess it would be like readings, the same as readings, right? You kind of with the grief, you kind of just remove yourself from the sitter and the grief, you kind of remove yourself from that and just go straight in, right? I mean, I'm
Right.
guessing.
Yes. No,
Yeah.
that's right. It's like I said, I like to think of it as helping, like you're making something better.
Better and shining light.
Um,
I really liked that you said
but
shining
yeah,
light on the dark.
yep,
Yeah.
that's what I always say.
Yeah.
That's just how I feel. A lot of people, it's too overwhelming, and for me too. I mean, some
Oh,
of the
I'm
things
sure. Yeah,
horrible, sad.
I tell people all the time. I see a counselor regularly because of the grief and the readings.
Yeah,
Because you have to take that break, right? You have to, yeah.
for sure. Yeah, and some will hit you harder than others. It's just,
Yes. And some of you take with you, I think forever, some of them would. You'd have to, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's so, I just am amazed and so in awe of that. I just think that's amazing. I think maybe one day I'll go into that. I just don't know if it's for me right now. That's
It's not for everybody, and that's what I
right.
always say because I'll have people that, oh yeah, I want to take a class with you, and then one time and they're like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
And it's just I don't know what it is. I mean, I think I like to set the intention that I'm helping, and they do too, but it just hits them differently, I think.
So can I kind of ask you, I'm going to ask you kind of first, you can kind of, so when I was doing the class with Cindy Kazat, there was one of the things that she showed us. It was, I think his name was Gaines. He killed, this is kind of gory, but he went into that, and I didn't ever know about this. person. And so maybe I've got his last names wrong, but it happened in the 70s and he killed all those, like he like tore apart. He so if you guys are from my spunksters, if you're listening with kids, just turn it down for a minute. So anyways, saw like the I saw some of the things that like I knew it was in the 70s. I knew he had like been watching her. I knew he went in. I saw all that and I saw that there was a murder. But I didn't see the gory parts of it. The
Mhm.
gory where does that make sense? So do
Yeah.
some people actually see the gory parts of it? Is that, because I don't know if I could do you
Yes.
actually see that part? Can you?
Um, yes, but you know what? If they're in spirit, they usually protect you. They really
Good.
do.
Okay, see,
The
that's what I
only,
was wondering. Yeah.
Mhm.
So your spiritual team protects you from seeing stuff like that then.
And you can set the intent to not see, if you know they're
Yeah.
stabbed, that you just know they're stabbed. You don't have to see everything.
See it. That's what I was wondering. Because when I do readings, I set the intent that I don't see people who are going to pass. I only see the people who are like, I'm like, I don't want to see people who are living. I don't want to see, because that's hard information to bring through, right? I don't think that's
Yeah.
fair to the sitter or to the medium to, unless they choose that. But so I guess it would be same with forensics. You kind of choose what you want to see, because I didn't see the gory stuff. So I think my spiritual team knew I didn't want to, so they protected me for that. So that's really interesting that you kind of lay that out and explain that, because then people maybe can do it if they're interested, because they're not going to see that stuff.
And you know
Right.
what? Yes, exactly. And some people have different like categories that they're good at. So like we have someone on our team who's a forensic astrologist.
Oh,
And I
nice.
also know how to do that, but I'm not fabulous at it, right? That's not my thing. But so she'll do the forensic chart, astrology chart.
Oh,
And then we'll look at that together and try to figure things out.
see, I didn't even think about that, but of course you would, right? Of course
Mhm.
you would. That's so
Um,
interesting.
we have another gal that is fabulous at doing drawings. Like she's a portrait artist. I mean, I don't know if she is, but she is when she works with
Right.
us.
That's
And so
awesome.
we'll be like, oh my gosh, yes, that's exactly who I'm seeing. So,
Yeah.
um,
So fascinating to me. I love it. I love it. I can't get enough. So do
yeah,
you so is that your most interest, but you also do paranormal, which I also kind of have started doing a little bit of that, because I'm like you, I kind of want to shine light on the darkness, right? Like, but I still get a little freaked out. So, so because I don't know about you, but I listen to Dave Schrader all the time, Paranormal
yeah,
60 or
yeah.
60. And some of the things that they have that he talks about, I'm like, okay, that would totally freak me out. So what kind of paranormal stuff have you like done?
Well, I used to be on teams. That's actually how I started. Another way I kind of dovetailed into this, years ago. Um, and so, I think you do a couple things if you're on a team. Sometimes you have like a museum, a library, and then you do like investigations there with the public. And then other times you go to other places and do investigations. But talk about scared. Always like so scared, but
Really?
not really, I guess, of what's going to happen. But like, even as a little girl, I was terrified of the dark.
Right. So
So
is it kind of
yeah.
like that same thing, like when you get with readings, like when I get with readings, I get this little nervous. I mean, I'm very confident in what I do, but I get this little nervous, like this little like butterflies, because I just know something magical is going to happen or something. So is that kind of like that? You get these like this nervous butterfly kind of thing going on, like does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And yes, so I don't know if it's just something about, you don't always have to investigate in the dark, but a lot of people do.
Right. Right.
So
I remember
they
I
don't
did
go
go
anywhere in the daytime,
I
right?
know. I did go to a paranormal investigation, which was awesome with the Pocatello investigating team. They were amazing. But the lady there that we were talking to said that most of the action happens during the day.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, well, then I would dare do that. I would dare in the daytime. But a lot of these things that you see, it's always dark and scary. And sometimes that's just for, I guess, show. I don't know. But yeah,
Oh, for sure. Like for sure on TV, a lot of that. Most of the time it's boring, right? You're just sitting
Yes.
for a
Yes.
long
Because the
time.
lady was like this. I know that because we saw some action and I felt some stuff, but
Yeah.
she felt bad, I think, because she felt like but it wasn't boring to me. It was my first one, and I was like,
No.
this is so interesting to me, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's super interesting. And I think what used to scare me before I did this was you can feel like energy, as it moves around you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's almost like
Yeah.
when you're
I
trying to
felt
read,
that.
spirit
Yep.
comes in,
Mhm.
it's for me, I feel spirit and blend kind of with them when you're on an investigation. That's kind of random. So I think not knowing what I was
Right.
feeling,
Yeah,
you
because you're right.
know,
Because I blend with them too. Like I kind of blend, but on the investigation, it was like you didn't really know what to expect, or you
well,
kind of,
yeah,
yeah.
like if they're
Mhm.
like kind of around you in the back, it can feel creepy if you don't know, I guess.
Right.
You
Well, and
know?
if you kind of don't know, if you haven't been in a lot of two, you know what I mean? It's your first one, but I'm kind of with you. Like I would rather start some of them in the day. So then it wouldn't
Yeah.
be so, yes. So what's your like favorite memory of a paranormal investigation that you've
You know
done?
what? That's a really good question, but I think actually one that I can remember, I just went to Arthur Findlay College and did the paranormal and mediumship,
Yes, yes.
and we went to a castle, and that was really exciting. A, I've never been to a castle. B, you just feel like so much energy. There's like so many
So
things that can come
much.
through.
Okay, that's exciting. That's awesome.
Yeah. As far as like things that have happened, I mean, they're just voices, or get
Because it's
confirmation. You ask a question, you get confirmation.
right, because they, yeah.
Um, Things move. You might see
But like
things.
nothing that was like terrifying to you, like nothing. See, that makes me actually kind of I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
Well,
because sometimes you watch on TV and someone gets bit and so
oh yeah, no, nothing, nothing
nothing
like
like that.
that.
Yeah.
But I do when I go by myself, like if I go with the team and I'm in the hotel room by myself and we're staying at the location, I sleep with the lights on sometimes.
Oh, me too. Okay, so I have to tell you this is so crazy. So I didn't go to an investigation, but I went to the paranormal. Oh, I don't want It's in Vernal, Utah. It's by the Skinwalker Ranch. It's called
Oh,
Para something con, and like all of Skinwalker Bigfoot people are there on the big. See, I'm like totally ruining all this for everybody because I don't know the specifics. But the guy who does the people who are on the Bigfoot show, they're there, and then the Skinwalker Ranch people are there. So I went last year
oh my
and
gosh.
just being there, like in my hotel room that night, I had the one of the scariest moments and
Oh,
experiences, a paranormal experience. And I fully believe it's because that energy was there. Do you know what, like when you go back to your, like you
yeah.
were saying, when you're in a paranormal investigation and then you go back to your hotel room and you have these experiences, that's exactly what happened at this Phenomicon, I think is what it's called in
Oh,
Vernal, Utah.
man, that's
Yes.
amazing.
Yes. So that
Yeah.
I totally relate with that. And so that's kind of why I'm like, I'm kind of dabbling a little bit in paranormal stuff, but I kind of like, I'm taking it easy. You're probably like, take
Right.
one of my classes and learn how to do this, Cari.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm the fraidy cat though, but I mean I admit it.
Yeah, that's me
And
too. I would
this
be one of those that I'm like, okay, I totally did this.
I love doing it, but I do get scared sometimes. And not there's really nothing to be scared of. It's just
You know what
mm,
I find most fascinating? I don't know about you, is when I was taking that class with Cindy Keza, and she talked about how a lot of her times that she would go to the places, she'd actually automatic write at the places.
yes.
Yes. And I thought, oh my gosh, that would be do automatic writing at the place. Cause I always thought, because when you've never done them, you don't know. And so I always thought you just had to kind of like the medium had to kind of just feel what was going on.
Mhm.
But I'm like, at automatic writing would be perfect during one of those things. Do you do automatic writing in your classes or do you do any of that
Yeah,
stuff?
we do. We
Good.
do
Yeah.
sometimes as a practice.
Hmm.
I haven't done it like investigating paranormal, but yeah, that's such a great way to do,
That
to
would
get
be like something to
information.
try, huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have any like cool paranormal stuff coming up or are you just focusing on your classes right now?
I don't have any cool paranormal stuff coming up right now. I wish I did.
That's okay.
Um,
Maybe we should
I
get together and go do one.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that would be so much fun.
Like yeah, that would be fun. So, if you so what would you tell somebody? And this is maybe a hard question because I just like off the, because but what would you tell somebody who is beginning their psychic mediumship and they don't want to do the readings like I do all the time? They want to go into psychic investigation or they want to go into the paranormal. What would you tell them? Because I know a lot of people, one, have fear. Fear's the biggest thing. Fear of
Yeah.
being wrong, of
Oh,
one.
for sure.
Yeah, fear of being wrong of the information that they get, and fear of just being having it be scary, right? Like being scared and having these things happen. So what would your biggest
I,
advice
I
be of where to
always,
start?
yeah, I always say just jump in because that's the only way you're going to know.
Right.
Um, and I think people really surprise themselves with the hits they get,
Yeah.
right? Validation they get. And it's just practicing like what I had a class yesterday. It was only yesterday. And some of the people are like, well, I used to get this sign, but now if there's something, oh, I used to get blackbirds, and that meant circling meant somebody was passed like out in the
Yeah.
open. And she said,
Oh,
but now I'm getting the blackbirds and whitebirds. So yesterday we were trying to figure out what that meant. So
that's
it's always adding to your toolbox. It's like,
yes.
honestly, half the time, I mean, a lot of times we're wrong, or
Yeah,
half of it will
that's
be
the
wrong,
yep. And I
half
tell
of it will
people,
be,
yep, that I tell people all the time that no reading is ever 100% accurate,
no.
ever. Like sometimes we are wrong because we're interpreting, right? We see
Yeah.
the signs and we see the symbols, but we may interpret it wrong. And so that's kind of where it's on the sitter or the other to help us figure out what it's actually saying, what spirit's actually trying to tell us. So what did you figure out what the white birds were?
No, we didn't have time. The classes go by so
So
fast.
fast, huh? The reading.
Um,
Yeah.
but we will because she takes classes from me, regularly, so we'll figure it out.
Oh, good.
Um, and half of us are going to say, if I say, do you feel they're alive? Half are going to raise their hand, and
Yeah, I
half are
know, huh?
no.
It's something
You
she's
know,
gonna have to figure out on her own through does but help with help, yeah, but something
but it's not like you just go in and just like immediately decide. It
right.
takes a lot of
It takes
time.
time. Yeah. Because when some of my symbols and stuff change, and when I do readings, I have
Right.
to try and figure out, like, I'll tell the sitter straight out, I've never seen this sign in a reading before. So I'm not sure what this is or what this means. So I have to explain to them exactly what I'm seeing. So maybe they understand it, or hopefully
Right.
in the future they'll understand it. Right. So it's kind of
Mhm.
similar to that. Well, now this has kind of got me a little bit into maybe like interested.
You should come to a class. Come
I
to a class.
know. So tell people, um, so tell people like what the class like. So what some of the classes are like, and then where they can find you, or where what like some of the things that they where they can find you online or and things like that. Like where would they look for you?
Okay. Of course. Well, my website is mediumkellykristen.com.
Okay.
It's IN, but I'm sure you'll give them that.
Yes,
But
I'll
that's
put it
where
down
you
in
can
this.
find.
I'll put it in the show notes for everybody to see. And
Okay.
you also have this the third eye sleuth one too, don't you?
Yeah, we haven't
Yeah.
talked about it either. It's
Yeah.
a lot.
Let's talk
Um,
about that. Let's talk about that for
okay. Um, and just the investigation classes are on my website, so you can see that.
okay.
The third eye sleuth is where I make up cases
Oh, you
and
do?
yeah, it's a subscription,
Oh,
but you can try it for free. And so each month I drop a new case, and I videotape myself explaining things, and then they're broken down like into little chunks, I guess you would say.
so
And
you
so
make them up or they're real ones that
no,
you
they're
they're
real cases.
real okay. Okay. So they're real. Okay, go ahead. Keep going.
And the challenge is finding ones that people don't know about, but it's doable.
Yeah.
So that when they go through, like even the very first thing I ask them is try to fill in if we're working with a male or female today, like that simple. And then the next video, I'll tell them, oh, today we're working with a male, and then we go on. We do that psychometry with the photo.
So I have a question too
Yeah.
about that because I know some people get so nervous. So do you kind of just let them do they have to tell you what they're thinking, or do you let them kind of figure out things on there? Because I know a lot of people, they don't like to go into these classes because they're so afraid of being wrong, right? So they don't like to go into these classes and be like, I'm getting a mail, and then be
Right.
wrong. So do you kind of like let them figure it out on
Yes.
their own a little bit? So I love that for them first starting out, right?
Yeah, this is actually a subscription. So they do this all on their own. I'm
Nice.
just recorded and then I ask them, I advise them to write down their findings so they can figure out how they're growing or how different cases feel because, an old case is going to feel a lot different than someone that's missing now,
Hmm.
or each case feels different.
That's so
And
cool.
so
It's
just
just
kind of
like
thinking,
it's kind of like a murder mystery every month that you
yes,
get to figure. That's
yes,
so awesome. I love
yes,
that. So do you have different tiers of that, or do you have like
I
different,
do. I
is it
do.
on Patreon or is it different?
No, it's on that website. It's
Oh, it's on the
it's
website. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
the Third Eye
The
Sleuth.
Third Eye Sleuth. Okay.
Mhm. And so if you click on that, you read through and it'll pop up where you can get a free case for free to try.
Awesome. To try it and see if you like it.
Yeah, if you like it, and if you don't, you don't.
You don't.
So yes, I have a tier two where I get a Q&A once a month where they can ask me about that case or any other case they're working on or
Mhm.
any questions about them progressing. What else do I have in the tier two? I feel like it's something else. I'm drawing a blank.
That's
Uh,
okay. Isn't
I
that
know.
crazy? On these podcasts, I do the same thing. When I put
Oh,
on this phone,
boy.
I'm like, I can't remember. But yeah, they can go look at that. Also, too, can they like cancel at any time after their first month,
Absolutely.
or so they're not like stuck in a membership for 6 months
Never.
or two a year?
Yeah,
Okay,
because I hate
cool.
that myself. Yeah, so you
Yeah.
just go, and if you don't like it, it's not for you, then
That's like the coolest thing ever. I've never even heard of
oh,
that. So how did you just decide? Well, Spirit obviously was just like, this is what you need to do, right? Yeah.
well, yeah, I signed up. I always have fear of missing out.
Mhm.
So, like the night before I signed up for this class, a 6-week class, and it was hard. So I built it during that class. It was a great experience, but technical stuff is not
Yeah,
my
that's the thing that
not
can
my
sometimes
thing.
get mediums is the technical stuff. Luckily, I am just really good at technical things, so I just came. But a lot of times, because we're so like wanting to
Yeah.
up here that that's the grounding stuff is what we don't really love to do. But luckily, I just kind of know. But yeah, that's what stops a lot of people. That's awesome though that you took the class and did it. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, so I don't, I have no idea what funnels are now. I do, but I didn't know how to build one or use them. That kind of stuff is not in my toolbox.
It's not
But I
everybody.
did it, so I have it,
Good
so they
job.
can look at that. Yeah, I
Cool.
I think it's fun. It's fun to do.
Good.
And
I bet it
it
is. I bet it is actually. So do
yeah,
you have so besides the Third Eye Sleuth and some of your classes that they can find on your website, do you have any events coming up or
I
anything like that?
do. I
Awesome.
am so
Tell us
so
about that.
excited. I have like a 12-week mentorship, a psychic investigation mentorship. And I was so lucky to get fabulous guests to come.
Oh,
Um, they're going to present the first hour, and it's a 3-hour class. And so I have the first one's going to be law enforcement.
oh,
So
cool.
they can find out because it's always a question I get. Why isn't law enforcement doing anything? And there's a reason.
Right.
We just don't know what it
You don't
is.
know
So
in advance, right?
we're going to have them tell us what that is.
Yes.
And just how they go about finding a missing person. What do they do first, et cetera. I have a handwriting, someone who does handwriting analysis. So
Okay.
she'll
Excellent.
bring in like, I don't know what she's going to bring in, but like, I know online she's compared the note for John Benet Ramsey case,
Oh, really?
ransom note.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, that's going to be fun. I
Yeah.
have someone doing forensic astrology.
Which
Um,
I have to, you're the first time I've heard about that. So that's
oh,
so interesting. I love it.
yeah,
I'll probably look into that too. So, yeah, that's awesome.
yeah,
So all these, you're going to have these different speakers for this event, for this.
yeah.
And when
So
does it start again?
sorry, it starts
September?
on September 8th.
Nice.
So they'll like present what they're good at, and then the rest of the time we're going to practice that skill with real cases.
How fun is that? Okay. So I will admit that's kind of the puzzle piece in me. Like I love that's why I love reading so much. It's because I love to try and put it together. I love to try and put the pieces together. Like sometimes I would love chemistry just because I would like to figure it out. I'd figure out that.
Right.
So that would actually be cool because that sounds like you'd put all those pieces and have it kind of put it together, put the puzzle pieces together, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So cool. So do you have like a limit? Is it getting full? I mean,
I just put it up not too long ago.
okay.
It's not, but early bird is right now, and I mean it's 12 classes, so eight
This is all
3 hour
online, correct?
classes. Yes,
Yes.
online.
So they can,
And
okay.
then a 1 hour class, I think twice a month, where they can come and ask me any questions or we can talk about what they practice. So the idea is they're going to practice forensic astrology on their own and then come to the class and like answer questions.
Oh, nice.
So right now is early bird until the 18th and it's only 444.
Oh,
So
four, four,
that's,
four. That's a
yep,
protection number
444.
right there. There you go. That
And
is
I
so
know,
awesome.
yeah, I think it's going to be great. I'm really excited about it. And my hope is that then next spring, I'll add another section, like
Oh,
something
yeah.
different, but continuing.
Continuing. So they can always like get more. Oh, I love it because I have had a couple of students of mine that do want to go into forensics and I don't know where to send them or I don't know where to. I mean, the only forensic medium I've ever even heard of that talked about what she did was like Jennifer Schaefer, but I don't even know if she like does classes or stuff anymore. I don't know. And
I don't
so
know if it
I
does
don't think
either.
I haven't seen any. So I think this is perfect because I have lots of students who are like, well, I kind of want to do forensic. And I'd be like, I have no clue where to go for forensic stuff. So this is great that I could send them to you and you have
I'd love.
this like all of this stuff for them. And I even actually might do it just because I'm interested too. I might just be like, hey, I want to try that. depends on
Yeah, you
just
could.
depends on what I'm doing, when the retreat is, when all this stuff is. So
Right.
yeah, interesting. Well, first off, I want to thank you for coming because this has
Oh,
been
thank
so knowledgeable for me. And I know my listeners too. I know they're just like loving this because sometimes they'll be like, why don't you do that part? And now they know why, but now they know maybe I might step into that a little bit. So it's been so amazing. And I loved having you. I love having you on.
you.
I will put all of your information in the show notes. And is there
Yeah,
anything last minute that you just want to say or let this is so hard because you're just like, I don't know. I
I
just
don't
like
know.
totally
Yeah.
put you on the spot, right? Like you put
Just if you want to try it, sometimes I do like a free and I should do that soon, maybe like a free like hour ask me any questions about it. Like if you have, if you're having think you may want to do it, but you're not sure.
right. That would
So
be good. Yes.
yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll put all of your information down. It's been such an awesome
Oh, thanks for having
experience
me.
having you on. I love it. And I hopefully, people will come if they're interested and
Thanks.
it'll be a good experience. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.